David Goggins believes that we use only about 40% of our true potential. Most people never fully reach the talent and abilities that lie within them. But David repeatedly proved in his life that humans can achieve far beyond their perceived limits. He continuously pushed himself, faced his fears and challenges, and broke his own boundaries. If he could do it, so can you. You can overcome every pain, fear, and obstacle in your life. You can become someone you never imagined. This summary will show you how this is possible. David grew up in an affluent area of New York. His father ran a business called Skateland, a roller skating rink that also had a bar on the second floor. His mother was a housewife, 17 years younger than his father. He had an older brother, Dennis Jr. From the outside, everything seemed normal and happy, but the reality was very different. His father was extremely strict and controlling. David and his family had to work at Skateland every night. David was only 8 years old at the time. His job was to maintain the roller skates and collect rental fees from customers, while his mother worked as the cashier. Punishments for mistakes were severe. Once, his father dragged his mother from the second floor to the first floor down the stairs, and on another occasion, he hit her head against the wall. When David tried to protect his mother, he was beaten with a belt. His mother endured this for years. At school, David often slept during class. Exhaustion from nights of work and injuries on his body prevented him from learning lessons. His body bore marks and scars from injuries, which affected his ability to study. Eventually, one day, his mother decided she would endure no more. She took her husband's credit card and car and announced during breakfast that she was leaving. David and his brother quickly packed their bags. His father hurled insults, but his mother stood firm and courageous in her decision. David and his mother moved to Indiana to start a new life with their grandparents. At that time, he was in the second grade but didn't know how to read or write. There, he met a strict, sometimes angry, but caring teacher who truly looked out for his future. By the end of the year, David had caught up academically with his classmates. This teacher also taught him about human nature, how people can smile outwardly but be bad inside, and how some seemingly serious people can actually be helpful. In third grade, David got a new teacher, and cursive handwriting became necessary. But David had only learned to read and write in capital letters. He didn't know cursive, which created further difficulties in school. His older brother couldn't adjust in Indiana and returned to their angry father. Meanwhile, David and his mother moved into public housing where the rent was $7 and they received food and other benefits from the government. His mother started working in a store while also enrolling in a state university so she could study after work. David was the only black student at his school and academically the weakest. His teacher placed him in a special program in the third grade because she suspected David might have ADHD, a condition that makes it difficult to maintain attention and control behavior. The teacher would sometimes remove him from class, causing David stress, and he developed social anxiety, a fear of crowds and interacting with people. Truth hurts, David couldn't understand his school lessons, so he found a way out: cheating. This method carried him from elementary school all the way through high school. But at the same time, a fire of anger was burning inside him. His high school had a total of 12,000 students, but only 5 black students. This discrimination and racial humiliation left deep wounds in David. He was repeatedly called black, which fueled his anger and unease. One incident stayed with him forever. One day, David and his cousin were walking down the street. A white boy in a car shouted, "Black boys!" David and his cousin ignored him. But a little later, the same car stopped, the boy got out, pulled a gun, and pressed it to David's head. David was terrified but did nothing. After a few moments, the boy got back in the car and drove away. David felt extremely uncomfortable and angry. People didn't know him, nothing about him, yet they insulted and wanted to hurt him. During his junior year, he could no longer tolerate this, so he did what people expected of him. David changed his appearance. He started wearing baggy clothes and adopted a strange hairstyle. His grandfather gave him a second-hand car for his birthday, on which David installed a large speaker and began playing hip-hop music at full volume. At school, he displayed the same attitude that others had shown toward him. It seemed like nothing in David's life was going right. He was failing in every subject and was often absent from school. His mother received a letter from the school warning that if he didn't improve during his senior year, he would not graduate. But David also had a dream. His grandfather was a retired Air Force cook and took pride in his job. David had a deep interest in pararescue, the soldiers who jump out of planes to carry out rescue missions. He assumed that the Air Force would accept anyone into its team, but in reality, he had to pass a test, the ASVAB, the military's equivalent of the SAT. This changed David. He looked at himself in the mirror and realized that the responsibility for his life rested solely on him. His mother was busy with her work, had become a university instructor, and was working day and night to forget her own pain. David decided that he couldn't rely on anyone. If he wanted to join the Air Force, he had to work for it himself. He changed his look, shaved his head, changed his clothes, and moved away from anger and hip-hop music. David began waking up at 5 a.m. every day to exercise, running miles in rain or snow. He trained his mind to remember every subject. He would first read the book, then write down what he had read and repeat it aloud 2 to 3 times. After 6 months of intense effort, he passed the ASVAB test and completed his high school education, the impossible task. When David's training began, he was 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighed 175 pounds. Initially, his performance was excellent. He excelled in running, push-ups, sit-ups, and flutter kicks. But to become a pararescue soldier, he also needed to be skilled in swimming. Due to financial difficulties, his mother couldn't enroll him in a swimming class, and David struggled in the water. Water exercises were the most challenging for him. Instructors tested his confidence and ability in the water, because rescue missions often required soldiers to jump into the sea. David's performance scores were low. During the 10 weeks of underwater training, he also had to undergo a medical checkup and blood test. The checkup revealed that David had sickle cell disease. This meant that excessive exercise could put him at risk of a heart attack. The doctors told him to make his own decision about whether he wanted to continue training. David saw himself giving up. His record stated that he withdrew due to sickle cell, but he knew the truth. He hadn't truly pushed himself. This failure weighed heavily on David. He was angry at himself for missing the chance to change his life. After getting a break, David joined a job as a security guard at a hospital cemetery, earning very little. To cope with his failure, David began overeating. Once he even finished an entire box of donuts. Gradually, his weight rose to 300 pounds. One night, he spoke with a young man who worked at a pest control company called Ecolab. He explained that he got a free truck, his boss didn't pressure him, and the salary was 30% higher than David's. David decided to take the job immediately. The work was tough. He had to go from restaurant to restaurant all night catching rats and cockroaches. He set traps in dirty kitchens and killed cockroaches. This went on for months. Once in a restaurant kitchen, he saw a massive cockroach infestation. When he sprayed, all the cockroaches came out, some landing on his head and shoulders. That moment was decisive for David. He had had enough. He ran home, showered, and cleaned himself thoroughly. That night, he saw a Navy SEAL commercial on TV. The world's toughest operational force. The commanding officer said they needed a man who wouldn't settle for average and had the drive to overcome every challenge. David felt as if the message was meant for him. Tired of a life without direction, he resolved to prove himself. Several officers rejected him because he was overweight, but David didn't give up. Eventually, he met Officer Shaljo, who believed in him. Shaljo told him he needed to lose 100 pounds in 3 months and retake the ASVAB test, scoring well. David began intense training. He woke up at 4 a.m., ate a banana, then spent 2 hours on a stationary bike reading his ASVAB book. After that, he practiced swimming for 2 hours, then did bench presses and leg exercises in the gym. For dinner, he ate chicken breast and vegetables, and before bed, biked for another 2 hours. Push-ups, pull-ups, and 4-mile runs became part of his daily routine. He not only met the minimum required standards, but also reached the desired weight for SEAL training. David was ecstatic. He called his mother to share the good news. But this was just the beginning. The real challenge was still ahead. Taking Souls Bude S is a 6-month intense training program to become a Navy SEAL. Divided into 3 phases. The first phase focuses on physical training, the second on diving, training to dive underwater, and the third on combat training. The training is so grueling that on average, only 20% of trainees complete it. Many drop out midway because it is not just a test of physical strength, but also a measure of how much hardship one can endure. David failed this training twice. The first time he contracted double pneumonia, and the second time he broke his knee. But he did not give up. On his third attempt, he finally became a SEAL. This time, he was given a last chance. He was told that if he got injured again, it would be over. David decided that no matter what, he would give his absolute best. He was the only person to attempt BUD/S 3 times in a single year and succeed in the end. The SEAL, Hell Week, is famous for being the toughest part of the training. In the first phase, trainees endure 130 hours of grueling exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, lunges, and flutter kicks. Then they are sent into the cold waves of the ocean, and all trainees must lock arms in a chain to prevent anyone from drowning. Instructors roll them in the sand so that wet sand sticks to their bodies, adding extra weight as part of the training. Sometimes they are asked to carry heavy loads or take large inflatable boats across the shore. There is no time to rest, no permission to sleep, and no way to escape the cold. Instructors shout day and night. They are repeatedly told they are weak and useless and should go home. David would ask himself, "Why am I here?" SEAL training doesn't prepare you. Staying is entirely up to your own will. BUD/S is not just a physical challenge, but an emotional test as well. Many trainees quit, but David didn't. He learned to keep his mind calm. He showed his instructors that neither they nor his peers could break his spirit. David and 5 other trainees formed a group that refused to give up. In one test, they had to carry a heavy inflatable boat on their shoulders for 4 miles. The instructors just watched, drinking coffee. David motivated his teammates and said, "Let's show the instructors what we're made of." They lifted the boat, ran fast, and kept repeating, "You cannot break us." David called this mindset taking souls, giving your soul and life into the task. It means showing strength when someone tries to provoke you and proving that you are not afraid of them. During his third BUD/S attempt, David was pushed to the brink of being expelled. Physical training had fractured his right heel. Every step was excruciating. Here's what David did. He woke up every day at 3 a.m. He wore thick socks, wrapped multiple layers of duct tape over them, then wore another thick pair of socks and taped them again. He did the same for his left foot. Then he put on his boots and started running. At first, the pain was unbearable, but he learned to endure it. Conclusion: David's story didn't end there. He was always seeking new challenges. He joined the Army Ranger School and graduated with the Honor Man Award. After that, he worked for 2 years as a hiring officer, visiting schools to share his story and inspire students. David also had an impressive marathon and triathlon career. He participated in the San Diego One-Day Ultramarathon, a 100-mile race to be completed in 24 hours. David finished it in just 19 hours. He also competed in the Las Vegas Marathon and the Hurt 100 in Hawaii. David ran these marathons to qualify for the Badwater Ultramarathon. He wanted to raise funds for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, which provides scholarships for children of fallen soldiers. The Badwater Ultramarathon is 135 miles long and is considered the toughest foot race in the world. David finished 5th in his first attempt, 3rd in his second, and through this he raised $2 million for the foundation. After succeeding in ultramarathons, David moved into triathlons. He competed in the 2006 Ultraman World Championship and the 2008 Ironman World Championship. As always, he prepared both mind and body, waking up early to run long distances, swimming for hours, and sweating it out on the bike. During the races, he faced many challenges and sometimes doubted himself, but he never gave up and persevered to the end. In 2009, he trained for the Race Across America, which required biking through multiple U.S. states. However, his heart was beating at 150 beats per minute. Doctors discovered he had an atrial septal defect, ASD, a congenital hole in the heart. Even doctors were surprised he survived such intense physical activity. He was advised to undergo surgery. The first surgery failed, but the second was successful. Even ASD could no longer stop David. Next, he aimed to break the Guinness World Record for pull-ups. The existing record was 4,020 pull-ups in 24 hours. He failed in his first and second attempts, facing shame, humiliation, and disappointment. But David didn't give up. He trained harder, prepared thoroughly, and succeeded on his third attempt. He completed 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, setting the record, which stood in his name until 2014. Today, David has become a symbol of fitness and motivation on Twitter and Instagram. He speaks at universities and corporate events to inspire people. His message is clear. You are capable of far more than you think. Don't set your own limits. Keep moving forward with focus and dedication, and you can truly achieve what you once thought impossible.